To all of my horror lovers out there, the Final Destination franchise has brought us some of the most iconic scenes in horror, some of the most brutal deaths, and when you consider it front to back, it is one of the most solid franchises in all of horror. And just a week ago, they dropped their 6th installment in the franchise called Final Destination Bloodlines. So come rock with your boy Tech, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and just come roll with me and the Spooky Gang as we review this latest installment in the franchise, and stick around for the ranking of the Final Destination franchise, including this newest movie, Final Destination Bloodlines. Just a quick side note before we dig into it, there will be plenty of spoilers in this. Just like in traditional Final Destination fashion, we have an opening premonition scene. So the opening scene is revolved around Iris Campbell, and she attends the grand opening of the Skyview Restaurant Tower. She experiences a premonition of a catastrophic collapse due to a gas leak and a structural failure. Iris evacuates the building, saving herself and others, including a young William Bloodworth. And so by intervening, Iris disrupts Death's design, inadvertently creating a cursed bloodline. Now, spooky brothers and sisters, let me go ahead and tell you right now, this is bar none the best opening premonition scene in any Final Destination movie. Everything about it was great, from just the setting of it being so high up in the sky on a tower, and then you're worrying about the structural failure of it, and over time you see the different creaks and cracks and different bolts and stuff are coming loose. You know how Final Destination does it. You just see everybody having just the grandest time because you have this live band playing, and they're playing the Isley Brothers Shout, and so everybody's getting it, everybody's having a great time, but you can tell that Iris is sitting there like she's having this premonition, she's seeing everything unfold, and then she tries to save everybody. Now we know from an iconic perspective, Final Destination 2 is better in that, right? So Final Destination 2 is more iconic in terms of the premonition scene because pretty much everybody, especially horror fans, but anybody who's even remotely familiar with the Final Destination franchise is very familiar with that particular premonition scene with the highway and the logs on the truck and, the whole nine regarding that. But in terms of it being the actual best, this 100% is the best. I mean, it beats, the original with the airplane. It beats the third one with the roller coaster, the fourth one with the NASCAR thing. And then the fifth one is the only other one that I think is even really close to this one because everything about the fifth one in the bridge was just, it was fire. So, and mind you, this premonition scene is from 1968. So we fast forward in the movie to present day, and we meet college student Stephanie Reyes. And lately, she's been suffering from nightmares. All of her nightmares are regarding the 1968 disaster of the whole tower collapsing. She then learns from her reclusive grandmother, Iris, that these visions are inherited premonitions. Iris reveals that death is targeting their family because their very existence defied death's original plans. So as we know with Final Destination movies, people start dying and people die in a particular order. Well, since this is related to a bloodline, Stephanie's family members begin dying in birth order. This is so death can correct the disrupted design. Now, getting to some of her family members and the characters in the movie, a lot of them are really good, can't even lie to you. Like, they all have their own little charm in a way. Eric, from what I see online, is one of the fan favorites for sure. Pretty much everybody loves him. Bobby was good. Brother Charlie was decent. Her uncle, and just some of the things that are happening to some of these people is just wicked. So, for instance, some of these notable deaths, Paul Campbell, who is Iris's husband, was the first to die. Then Howard, Stephanie's uncle, was killed by a lawnmower during a family gathering. Then Julia Campbell, who is Stephanie's cousin, was crushed in a garbage truck compactor. Like some of these scenes and the way that they die is just really wild, and I actually love all of them. Then even Eric and Bobby, they all died to this whole MRI machine mishap, which was a crazy scene. It was one of the best scenes outside of the premonition in all of the movie. So that was fire too. Then moving a little further into the climax, Stephanie and Charlie go seek William Bloodworth's advice and help to see how any way he can help him because he's been researching death ever since that 1968 incident. Bloodworth then tells him that only creating new life or taking another life is the way to defeat death. And he also warns them about interfering with death's plans and some of the consequences that come along with that. And the big thing that I like about this scene, you're always going to have in every single Final Destination scene with Tony Todd as William Bloodworth. And, the biggest thing for this is because a lot of the lines and his dialogue was related to his own personal situation with him having cancer. And this was pretty much his write-off to the fans, which was really emotionally impactful. So definitely rest in peace, Tony Todd. But the scene definitely has some emotional weight to it. After they get advice from Tony Todd or William Bloodworth, they go on throughout the movie and they think that they defeated death. And despite all of their efforts of trying to cheat death, which they think that they successfully do, and then turns out in the very end of the movie, they end up getting killed by a train that was derailed, and that clearly reveals that their previous attempt to cheat death was completely unsuccessful. So yeah, with this movie, the ending I would say was a tad rushed, but when you consider everything else that we got to see, there were characters that we actually cared for a little bit. Like, they did a good job building these characters some level of personality and some level of development, even though they're all written just to be knocked off. Like I said, we actually did care for some of her family members. They seemed like they actually cared about some of the situations that she was in, or some of the cousins that flat out didn't care and thought she was lying, and all this good stuff. Seeing some of the things that happened to them, even though they were dicks to her, is just like, yeah, it is just really solid overall. Like, this is easily one of the best horror movies from this year. So there is without a doubt that I'm putting my stamp on this. And for this movie, Final Destination Bloodlines, as a final rating, I would probably give this movie about an 8 out of 10. Now, for people who are not familiar with the way that I rank, I do a little bit of technical plus how much you like it or love it. Like, if I truly just love a movie, that can give a movie an extra 2 points. When it comes to this movie, technically it's probably about a 6. So just being completely objective, front to back, yeah, it's about a 6. But how much I like this movie and how much I'm willing to rewatch this movie and things of that nature, yeah, it definitely gets the extra 2 points, and that's where that 8 out of 10 comes in for me. And so yeah, no, for sure, I will 100% put my stamp on this. And anybody who is a fan of the Final Destination franchise, and or just you're a fan of like splatter horror where you just know people are basically written to get knocked off type, then this is definitely the movie for you. So with all of that being said, Spooky Gang, now it's time for a final ranking of the Final Destination franchise. This is probably gonna make a few people upset just because, some of their favorites might not be as high as they think it should be, but hey, it's my list, it's all personal and it's all subjective, so it doesn't really matter. So coming in last place for the Final Destination franchise, so the 6th best in the franchise, would be the Final Destination, which is the 4th installment. This is probably one of the ones that is relatively universal, that pretty much everybody agrees that this is the worst of the franchise. The opening premonition scene wasn't that good. The acting from the characters really wasn't that good. It's just not that great of a movie. Then as far as 5th place in the Final Destination franchise, I'm coming in with Final Destination, the original. With this movie, it is a good movie. There's really nothing to complain about. It was a great way to start off the franchise and a lot of the other events that we get to see in some of the later sequels. But just when you compare some of those death scenes and some of the characters from those movies in comparison to some of these other ones, it just doesn't match up. There's so many more likable characters in some of these other movies, and some of the deaths in some of these other movies are better. So that is why that one comes in our 5th place spot. Coming in at number 4, we have Final Destination 3. Yeah, so this is the one that I feel like a lot of people are gonna be like, huh? Like, why is this so low? I know a lot of people like Final Destination 3. I think the roller coaster premonition was really good, and tanning bed death, and some of these other deaths, it was really good. I know a lot of people love Wendy as a character, and that's probably like their favorite character out of the whole franchise. But for me, it's still a really good movie, and it's a really good Final Destination movie. It's just I like some of these other ones better. Coming in at number 3, we have Final Destination 5. Final Destination 5 is probably one of the most well-rounded in terms of likable characters, great deaths, great premonition scene, and it's the 2nd best premonition scene. Let's go ahead and get that straight. Like I said, Final Destination 2 has the most iconic, but the whole bridge thing in Final Destination 5 was amazing. So yeah, definitely, that definitely gives it a big boost. And then, like I said, some of the characters were pretty good too in their death. So yeah, this will be coming in at my number 3 spot. Coming in at number 2. Now this is where it gets really debatable, and y'all already know there's only 2 movies left, so it can only be one or the other. Coming in at number 2 is Final Destination Bloodlines. The only reason why this movie is coming in at 2nd place instead of 1st is just because as much as I love the premonition scene and as much as I love some of the characters, this movie was more so a real fun movie, and Final Destination 2, to me at least, appeared to be a more serious tone. Like I felt like there was more suspense around death than there is in this movie, and I think that's a quality, especially with it being the second installment. I feel like that's a quality that it does a little better than Bloodlines. But if you were trying to tell me which one I want to watch over and over and over again, like if I could only pick one of the two for, let's just say, the rest of my life, and I could only watch one of the two, I would say Bloodlines. But I think from a technical aspect, Final Destination 2 is just a little bit better, and that's why Bloodlines is coming in at our number 2, and Final Destination 2 is coming in at our number 1 spot. Kimberly as a protagonist is great. The whole highway, like we already mentioned, the premonition scene is one of the best as well, top 3 in the franchise, and the most iconic out of all of them. There's really good characters, a younger Tony Todd. I don't know. Everything about the movie just screams the 2000s and, you know, me growing up. So yeah, there's a bit of nostalgia in there too, but yeah, that's really what it comes down to. That is all I have, Spooky Gang. Y'all comment down below. 1, what did you think of Final Destination Bloodlines, if you've seen it? And 2, what is your current ranking of the Final Destination franchise? Genuinely, like, I think that this is pretty much one of the best franchises in horror. There's only really one bad movie, which I'd say is the Final Destination, the 4th one. But outside of that, I mean, ain't really too much wrong with this franchise at all. Like, I mean, you can always throw these on for the most part, enjoy yourself, and just have a blast. So yeah, y'all comment that down below. As I mentioned in the intro, y'all go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 10K subs. We're definitely going to hit that, and we're going to keep grinding until we do. So as y'all already know, Spooky Gang, there will be a video next week as always. And so until then, Spooky Gang, y'all stay blessed and y'all stay spooky.